welcome to this panel session at Createch 2020. We're going to be sharing more about our newly announced research and development project, the 5G Festival. The 5G Festival is part of the recently announced R&D grant competition, 5G Create, which is run by the Department of Digital, Culture, Media and Sport. So my name is Emily Savage. I work for Digital Catapult and I run our immersive commercial activities here. We are leading the 5G project. Over the next 40 minutes, our panel of contributors from O2 Telefonica, Warner Music, Sennheiser, Matavision and Digital Catapult will be sharing with you more about the project, its potential significance for the industry and what we hope to achieve over the next couple of years. Just to start, I want to point out, as you can see on this screen here, that even though there's a big panel of us here together, there's even more companies that are represented and are part of this project. So those that aren't speaking today are also Brighton Dome and Brighton Festival, Metropolis Studio, Live From and Sonosphere. So thank you all very much for tuning in, and hopefully we're going to be able to share with you what is a really exciting project that we're all tremendously excited about contributing to over the next 2 years. So on the next slide, you'll just see a quick snapshot of what this project is. And I'm not going to go into huge amounts of engineering detail at this stage because we'll get a little bit more of that from the panel later on. But what you can see here is that the aim of the 5G Festival is to build a brand new immersive collaborative music platform, one that functions and optimizes itself on the 5G network. So we aim to demonstrate the creation of a live 360 immersive professional music feed that is produced synchronously from multiple locations and exploits the 5G high bandwidth and ultra low latency and slicing. So the very exciting thing about this project is that we're not just aiming to create one use case out of this platform, but we're actually in fact trying to create 3 new scenarios, each of which will have its own value and business potential. So the first one is looking at the ability of artists to collaborate with one another, so that you could have, say, a producer that was located in LA collaborating with an artist that was located in London, and they'd be able to play synchronously and they'd be able to see each other for visual cues, and they would experience such a low latency that there would be no delay and they could actually produce live music together. Now, as well as this happening, this then will produce also a remote opportunity for fans to listen to this collaborative music experience. So from your own home, you will be able to tune in and hear these two artists collaborating in a live music experience. And then the third use case would actually be to take it that one step further and to look at the use of this platform within venues. So as we are all desperately missing at the moment, we are not in our live music venues that we love. But of course, this will hopefully change over the next couple of years. And there will be this need for a new level of experience that people can get whilst in those venues. And this is what we hope to achieve by being able to bring artists that couldn't be there at the venue to the venue through a new type of audience experience. All 3 of these use cases we're going to be able to demonstrate through a series of events and showcases that will take place during the next couple of years. So on the next slide, you'll see some of the amazing prestigious venues that we're going to be incorporating into this event through our partners. So Brighton Dome, this is where the final showcase will take place in November 2021. But along the way, we will be proving out how we can have that interlinked, seamless connectivity between these 3 outstanding venues. So the O2 Arena and the O2 Academies, and then equally Europe's #1 independent recording studio, Metropolis, which is also an absolute landmark within the UK and European music scene. So I won't babble on too much longer, but on the next slide, you'll just get a very quick demonstration as to how all 9 of us, because there are a lot of us involved in this project, how all 9 of us are contributing to this project and to the R&D goals. So you can see that we've got the Warner Music coming in from the music and the music rights side. That will feed into the venues where different people will be able to be located as artists to prove out the remote collaboration. We've then got a whole load of technology taking place on the recording and audio side that will be managed by Sennheiser, Sonosphere and Metropolis. This, of course, then all feeds into a platform that is pulling it all together, both the audio and the visual. And this will be managed by Matavision with the permissions and ticketing sorted out by LiveFrom and FanDragon. And then ultimately, this will be outputted through the 5G connectivity that we have, which will be managed both by O2 and Digital Catapult themselves. And we will then produce this final experience, which can either be happening remotely for audiences at home or in these venue hybrid experience that we've talked about. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel that we have here today, where we can get a little bit more detail as to what's going on with this project and how all of the partners see value in it. So we have Athena, who's the experience designer from Matavision. We have Tiago, who's Global Digital Business Development Senior Manager at Warner Music. We've got David Owens, who's the Head of Technical Trials at Telefonica O2. We have Tim Charat, who's the Strategic Planning Manager at Sennheiser, and we have Kostas, who is our Senior 5G Technologist at Digital Catapult. So welcome all. Thank you so much for joining us today on this panel. Now we have just got 40 minutes, so we're going to try and cover off some of the most pressing questions that have been on my mind and that are hopefully ones that all of you guys have in the audience. And then of course you can always get in touch with us after the panel to try and find out more. So right, first of all, Athena, I'm going to start off with you, please. So this is something that as an idea, as the idea of having a platform that was an immersive experience for musicians to collaborate that could be enhanced by 5G. This is something that Matavision had already been thinking about even before the pandemic, which is really interesting because of course it's been so much heightened by the pandemic and our lack of ability to all come together. So can you share a little bit more with us why you think remote experiences for music fans are needed by the industry? What is it that's driving that desire from your experience of having worked in the technology sphere for the music industry for the last few years?
Of course, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with everyone today this amazing journey we've had. Hello again, everyone. As I already mentioned, I'm Athena Metridou. I'm the experience designer for Matavision. And we indeed have identified this need for building this kind of platform a bit earlier, let's say, and before the coronavirus. Since 2012, Matavision has live streamed in VR major events, often to global audiences of millions. In all our projects, we have confirmed that remote audiences were much bigger than the local audiences. As an example, when we live streamed in VR a concert of an international band from Dresden in Germany, 12,500 people watched the live stream, while the audience in the venue was about 2,500. It was obvious then to us for several years that streaming immersive experiences hugely expands the capacity of any event and any venue. Then our experience with different bands showed that there is a need as well for remote collaboration, as it often happens for band members to live in different locations or even different countries. So the idea of allowing remotely located artists to rehearse and create together easily develops into the concept of them, each one remotely performing together for a remote distributed audience. We concluded that there is a need to enhance the experience of both the audience and the artist during a performance. We confirmed this through the findings of the LIME project, a feasibility study into next generation immersive experiences, which was funded by Innovate UK as part of the Audience of the Future Design Foundations. And I need to stress here that the key differentiator with what is happening now during COVID is the element of immersiveness, which elevates the experience to a totally different level. But to do this for 1 or 2 performances of art or artists would have a minimum impact on the way performances are produced and enjoyed. So it was this thinking that led us to the concept that a unified platform was needed. A platform which would offer immersive content, bringing together not only remote audiences, but also remote artists and performers. Naturally, such a platform would offer to the industry a wide range of additional capabilities, from lowering creation costs, reducing travel and emissions, all the way to artist discovery, to showcasing, and many others. Until recently, the existing networking infrastructure did not support the implementation of such a platform, but now 5G offers us the opportunity to do so. And it was this concept that developed into the idea behind the 5G Festival project, and we really hope that the 5G Festival will encourage artists to share and collaborate on music creations with other artists, eliminating location barriers, and at the same time offer a unique remote live immersive experience to the audience.
All right, thank you. No, it's brilliant to hear that, you know, this was something that you guys have been putting the R&D into for a long while. You know, your experience working in the industry has already been proof in itself that things are changing, and that audiences want something else and need something else, and obviously now more than ever. On that note, Tiago, I know, you know, from having had conversations with you over the last few months of us putting all of this together, that there's real excitement from your side, not just around the experience that this can offer to the actual fan and to people that are wanting to enjoy music, but also to the musicians themselves in how they produce and come together. Now, you know, there of course are various platforms for them to try and do this already, but what is it about the potential of what we're building together and what 5G can offer that you think really allows for that differentiation and allows for something new?
That's right, Emily, and hey everyone, thanks for the invite. You're totally on point. I think that there have been options in the past, but to the best of my knowledge and from the feedback of artists, none have really come close to what we're trying to achieve here. And for a variety of reasons, a lot of them being technological, a few of them being experienced ones, and lastly but not least, definitely just being used to the concept of collaborating from afar. And I think this is personally a key point of the project that we are very interested in. We have certainly heard since lockdown measures started, feedback and insights from our artists who had been locked down in their homes, just like everyone else, unable to collaborate or limited in the possibilities of that collaboration. And, you know, if some of those stories turned into positive ones, like for example, Charlie XCX's album, which was essentially an opus magnum of the experience of being locked in her home, and how that experience enabled her creativity. In a lot of other situations, that experience might not be exactly the same. And so those barriers are not felt in the same way by all artists. And some of them, they are seen as limiting, and some of them they're seen as restrictive. And so it is really trying to remove those barriers to allow for more of those positive stories, but also to allow for artists to create the music that they want, to allow for their expression to be felt from whatever they want, with collaborators that they love and trust wherever they are. Because that's not just a lockdown measure, it is a physical distance reality of the world that we live in. You know, we live in a big world with different locations, with a lot of different cities and villages everywhere. And musicians and talent can come from everywhere. So if we are solely focused on a few key areas to, as Athena said, to discover talent, but also to allow our talents to collaborate with others, then we are limiting ourselves and we are limiting our artists. And so to break down the barriers of distance, to allow for full digital real-time collaboration. I think that this is a promise that many have tried in the past, but they have either failed or have come close but not succeeded. And certainly that is an area that I'm very keen on exploring and hopefully solving alongside this wonderful consortium.
Yeah, that's. I think it is. It's a brilliant point that you both raised about this idea of opening the talent pool, opening up the access. Obviously, we so far it's been hugely differentiated depending where you come from, where you're born, and how close you are to a metropolis, essentially. And this is this is the promise always that has been there with the internet, which we've already seen working on some levels, and now 5G potentially offers for that next ability for us to have that step change across the whole world. So no, that's a really interesting answer. Thanks, Diego. So all right, let's get on to the nuts and bolts of the audio. So another really interesting thing about this project is that we're not just focusing on 5G's ability to create a 360 or kind of 6 degrees of freedom immersive environment from a visual sense, but we're also talking about the audio and the importance of audio. And the importance of audio is something that's come up from an immersive point of view a lot in the last couple of years. It was initially somewhat forgotten, and now as we know, a huge number of the large audio manufacturers have been really trying to understand what it means when we can hear with full surround sound. And Tim, this is something that Sennheiser have equally been working very hard on. And as a part of this project, it's going to be about yourselves and Sonosphere and Metropolis all coming together to produce that audio recording and mixing environment. But tell us more about what does 5G really mean in regards to the latest immersive innovations that we're seeing in audio. Sorry, Tim, you might still have your mute on there.
Apologies, there we go. Cool. Yeah, so Sennheiser has two main focus areas in this project that 5G's unlocking really for us for the first time. And it's the ability for us to really come to terms with developing the first generation of 5G enabled professional hardware. And this is the aim where we're able to develop products that can ultimately be put in the hands of professionals and consumers alike, that's going to connect them directly to the 5G network. So we'll be using the 5G network as the transport mechanism. It's allowing us to give hardware to artists and creatives that will then transmit that audio direct to the studio or direct to the end consumer, where we can then play with it. So it's quite exciting to be able to on that cutting edge of something that is really quite new for us. It's a very new way of working and some very new workflows which are going to be established and designed, which is why we're very excited to be part of this project, because it gives us the opportunity to look and test these new workflows and have access to the trials and the 5G test beds to prove this this new technology. So we'll be enabling artists and content creators, from professionals and beginners, the ability to connect and collaborate, as Thiago was talking about there, and perform with others with a quality that is not accessible today. We're with the power of 5G, with the ultra low latency, the ability for mobile edge compute to synchronize the audio and the video, delivering an end-to-end latency of less than 10 milliseconds. It's sort of groundbreaking in the ability to really truly collaborate with professional artists. Working with Metropolis and Sonosphere, we're looking at building broadcast distribution hubs where we can send all these feeds in that are transported over the 5G network, and then we're looking at enhancing. And this is the second focus where Sennheiser comes in, is in enhancing the experience and changing the way that consumers consume content that's either broadcast professionally or that's created as part of the collaborative process. And using the experience that Sennheiser and its Ambio division and Dear Reality teams have gained over the last 10 years working in immersive audio, We will be deploying the latest spatial audio rendering tools. We'll be hopefully building them into the consumer apps and the user experience. We'll be adding and enhancing the audio and working through that process to deliver unique experiences. Along with that, we'll be working with engineers, mix engineers, to understand how we create the content live. Sort of live spatial mixing is a very new new workflow that needs to be developed, and we'll be working closely with a lot of spatial engineers and the team at Sonosphere and Metropolis there to sort of refine that. Research we've also done has shown that by providing high quality content with spatial audio soundscapes, consumers are definitely engaging more with this content, and for significantly longer than with traditional stereo production. And that's got obvious benefits to different markets, such as marketing, and also for creatives who want to enhance their output. And we believe that audio is key to the audience engagement. So it's ultimately all about using our experience to deliver new and exciting experiences for the audiences of the future. And we very much look forward to the final event at Brighton Dome later on in 2020-21, where we'll be able to showcase all of our developments at the first 5G festival.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's it is really interesting to hear that it's not, there's a whole number of areas of R&D going on here from the audio side. You have got the actual equipment that's there, and how you record, and how you almost make a template for how artists can be recording themselves to create that perfect output, but enabling people to almost manage that a little bit more themselves, along with the whole mixing environment, as you say, and doing that live. So yeah, there's I think some very exciting findings here for the whole of the recording and music industry that will be taken forward. So all right, well, thank you for that, Tim. Okay, let's get in a little bit more to the telco side of this, and we are in a minute I'll speak to our 5G engineer Costas, and we'll get so a little bit more of the kind of hardcore nuts and bolts of what's going on with the 5G. But before that, David, from O2 Telefonica's side of things on this project, it's really dynamic role that you guys are playing, because of course you are one of the largest telcos in the UK, and a big part of the kind of 5G rollout for us as a nation. But equally, you own a load of venues, which puts you in a very novel position, and particularly for this project, which is why we're all thrilled to have you a part of this. So let's talk a little bit more from that venue point of view at the moment, because there is going to be, the ideal is that there's going to be this physical role of the platform. So we're by no means are we saying here that although the venues are not active at the moment, we are all absolutely desperate for the time that they will become active again. And so, can you explain to us a little bit more about the kind of O2 and O2 Academy's vision for this, and how you see it integrating with the gigs, the live performances that already happen, and what you see really as that larger business picture for live venues and this kind of technology?
Thank you, Emily, and thank you for the question. I start by saying music is at the heart of O2, and a lot of the interactions that we have with our customers today are centered around music and entertainment. And I know that we've all really missed our live music events in these unprecedented times. I think that with our 5G network powering these live events in the future, and we will see the benefits of the high bandwidth, the low latency, and the slicing capabilities of that network, and the next generation core will deliver those enhanced experiences at our music and entertainment venues for the fans. It's really great to be involved in such an innovative project, and we are especially excited about the future opportunities these technologies that the likes of Tiago, Tim and Anthea have described. It will allow us to deliver, going forward, these events at the O2 and our O2 Academies. And I think that the planned demonstration events that will be held later next year at the Brighton Dome and at the O2 will help create the ultimate festival experience for the live music fans. From an O2 point of view, I'd like to say that we're committed to the future of live music, and the transformation of the live experiences using the power of our network. And through pioneering innovation and iconic collaborations, which is where we really come into our own, we want to deliver experiences that connect the next generation of music fans to unforgettable moments, which, you know, we can't wait to get back to having. And so that really is, you know, from an O2 perspective, why we were really excited about this consortium and why we wanted to be part of the project.
So from what you're saying there, David, you do very much kind of visualize a world where venues might not be quite as we knew them kind of last year. Do you think there is almost the potential that in a few years' time we'll be walking into a music venue and it will have a different purpose in some senses, or have a different look and feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to what Anthea was saying, Athena was saying at the beginning, sorry, of the presentation, we see the involvement with the fans on the way to the venue, during the venue, or the build up to the venue, you know, waiting for the artist to appear on stage, with the artist on stage, and then as you leave the venue. And we want to build that as a total experience. You know, we think that fans get very excited about music and going to those experiences. So we really want to maximize that whole event experience from the moment you get your tickets right the way through to talking about it with your friends a few days later and being able to replay the clips. It's a marvelous opportunity for all of us. And the thing with live events is you don't get to see the full perspective of the event. And I think that 5G can help provide you with more insight to the event as well. So not just about the listening experience and the visual experience of the artist on stage, but the other things that are going on around you, your friends, your family, the Twitter feeds, and social media. So I think there's a lot we can do to make those events more exciting.
Yeah, that is a really interesting idea, isn't it? Because still at the moment, you know, we tend to think of going into live venues as being a bit of a black hole in terms of network. You go in, and in some sense that's great, but equally, yeah, there's a whole bunch of information that often you're screaming out to try and access, which is just near impossible in those kind of sizes of places. So yeah, there's a lot of potential to be adding in new layers of useful information that the viewer can decide on whether they want to access or not. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot to do with the technology, and I think one of the challenges, as you say, it is I like the description of a black hole. When you go into a venue, the amount of spectrum that we've had, the bandwidth that we've had, is being limited in the past, and you know, we need to see continual investment from the government into the spectrum allocations for the mobile operators to deliver these great experiences. And I think, you know, that alongside this fantastic technology and the music industry and the way it's embracing the technology will really deliver these events going forward.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's a very, very positive time for the industry, and what has felt like a very heavy time over the last 6 months or so. So all right, thanks for that, David. Okay,
thank you.
I realise we've got a big panel here, which is why we're sort of slightly rattling on, but there will be time for a few more general questions, I think, at the end, that I can throw out across the panel. But let's focusing, Kostas, on yourself. We haven't heard from you yet. So Kostas is our highly expert 5G engineer, one of at Digital Catapult, and has been a part of really putting together the nuts and bolts of this project in regards to how it will function and how it will be tested on the network. Having built several customized 5G networks at both Brighton Dome and at our offices in London as well, Kostas certainly knows what he's doing. So go on, Kostas, in slightly more layman terms for all of us, why is the role of 5G so crucial for this project to be a success? What is the integral part of it?
Thank you, Emily. So 5G will allow for a collaboration level and a fun experience that we currently cannot have in place unless the performers and the audience are in the same physical space. With 5G Festival, the aim is to enable rehearsals and actual performances of bands from distributed locations at very close or even same quality as you would have if we were jamming in a professional studio together, and then stream them remotely to local or remote audiences. We have demonstrated a similar experience like this a few years ago with the Orchestration of the Orchestra, a collaboration between Digital Catapult, King's College London, and University of Bristol, where we had a three-way distributed orchestra, and they played together in synchrony. But that was not at the professional level that we are trying to have here. also that didn't include immersive video. So neither of these events had a professional audio level or immersive video distribution. And this is a key for 5G Festival, a collaboration both and synchronization of both audio and video cues. So the success of this project relies on several aspects of 5G, particularly the low latency capabilities, the high bandwidth, and the network slicing and orchestration. Latency has been discussed mainly for the audio from TIM and the requirements there for synchronization of audio and video of about 10 milliseconds latency Currently with 4G, we can see up to 20, maximum 40 milliseconds. So bringing down the latency more will be a challenge here. Then bandwidth is required for streaming 360 immersive feeds, which needs much higher data flows than the currently ultra high definition videos, two-dimensional, which will span from 5 to 8 megabits per second to more than 200 megabits per second per user. So we need that bandwidth and this capacity that David mentioned from the network. Finally, the management and orchestration is not a part that many 5G projects have tackled usually, but it's a key feature for advanced digital infrastructures to allow for efficient network and compute resource management and dynamic configuration of the end-to-end services. So when we have a live stream from O2 Arena to Brighton Dome, we have to orchestrate the flows throughout the network, and this is what it will be challenging here, and something that Digital Catapult brings an experience from different projects, particularly the Initiate and the 5G Victory project, and we aim to address this in the project. The number of users also will be expanding and consuming this synchronized experience in a personal feed. So this will put more pressure on the network and something that 4G or even Wi-Fi cannot handle. And this is where 5G is so important for this project, and we will try, even with 5G, we'll stress it a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. No, that's really helpful. I think that's putting it in a way we can all understand as to why it's so vital that we start testing this on the next generation of network. So I'm very aware of the fact that time is flying by. So I'm going to try and fit 2 more questions in if we can. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to jump back over to Tiago and ask you a slightly more risque question, because I think lots of people that have been involved in the music industry as artists or from the label side, there have been various stages throughout the history of technology where the music industry hasn't exactly been risk-taking, and it hasn't made some of the leaps necessary to keep up with changing consumer trends. And yet it feels, certainly at the moment, like this is changing a little bit. And I want to kind of get your appetite. Do you think the music industry's kind of ability and appetite for technology adoption is kind of starting to change, is starting to become a little bit more open and creative around what's possible and what the consumer wants and what's best for the artist?
Yeah. I'm the first to admit that the music industry has not been in the past the fastest at responding to innovation. And I got to thank you for this punchy question, because it's important to talk about this quite openly and transparently. I think there's 2 things that have been happening recently that show that that's not the case anymore. One, there's no denying that in times of dire crisis, the music industry hasn't come together to solve its issues and to adapt. Yes, if in the past it took a while, I think that now the companies and agents involved, players involved, are much more aware and in tune with what's possible with technology for a variety of reasons. Some of them have grown up with all of that technology and are digital natives, as well as they actually see the pleasure it gives fans and creators and users around the artists themselves, right? And I think that given what's happened recently, the dire times that everyone is facing in the music industry as a whole, I cannot say this enough. I've not seen the industry come together as strongly and as quickly as I've seen to try and come to terms with what's happening, but also to come with solutions to counter the negative effects that are being felt, and the sheer amount of creativity that's being directed at and coming from the music industry, from the tech industry, from the wider entertainment industry, from the media industry, from wherever sources those are, has been at a volume that I've never experienced before. And I think a testament to that are teams like our own team, the New Business and Ventures team, which has been set up a while ago, a little over 3 years, and is precisely aimed at connecting startups and connecting to research and development projects like this, so that we can thrust the music industry forward, and we can be forward thinking, and we can take advantage of technology that allows for new experiences and new ways for fans to connect with artists or artists to do their work, etc., etc., etc. I really do genuinely believe that the music industry has been quite progressive in trying to adopt new technologies, and because of the needs being felt in the period that we've been living, there has been a huge volume of inspiration, creativity, and good faith from everyone in the music industry.
No, thank you so much for that. I mean, I can only second that, you know, as Digital Catapult and kind of being at the center of hearing about a lot of the innovation projects taking place, we are seeing it across the music industry. As you say, it's not just yourself as a label, there's other labels that equally are working on fascinating projects. The venues are totally changing, it seems, in terms of their future approaches, and there's new venues that are being built that are really coming at it from a different angle and really looking at it with the artist and their creativity and their ability to reach fans at the center of it. And then, as we say, there's the vast amounts of technology as well starting to change its approach. So I realise that we are very, very nearly out of time, so I don't think I'm going to risk asking another question. Instead, I'm going to remind all of the audience that we are due to kick off this project literally starting in the next month, and it will be continuing then over the next 18 months to 2 years, and we are absolutely planning to have the public showcase in Brighton Dome with supporting venues as well, including O2 and Metropolis, that will be taking place at the end of 2021. So we really invite you all to keep up with this project. There'll be loads of news coming out along the way from the Digital Catapult website and across, of course, DCMS as well. And I'm sure many of the partners as well will be sharing more as we learn and as we move forwards. We do invite you to get in touch with us. We haven't got time, unfortunately, for audience questions at the end of this, but please do drop Digital Catapult an email, go to our website. I'm Emily Savage, and you can get in touch, and I can certainly put you in touch with any of the panelists that have been involved today. So thank you all so much for contributing and for sharing a little bit more. It's really exciting for us, I think, to be giving our first kind of public sharing of the project. And we all hope that you enjoy the rest of Createch and London Tech Week, which is such a huge event of lots and lots of progressive projects to all be spoken about at this particular time. So please go on, inspire yourselves, and thank you ever so much for joining us.